So people on live stream, if you're arriving, hello. We're just kind of in the waiting room, having a little refreshment and chatting. And I'm going to, Andy, do you want to let everyone in? You are welcome to do that. I appreciate that.
Okay,
Here they come.
it was here.
So Samuel, you'll start seeing people populate your screen. And to those on Facebook, I see Mark is here already.
Mark Olson.
Yes.
Ooh la la. Where are they? Where are they?
They're coming. They're coming. Do you see the gallery view, Samuel?
Yes, I see the gallery. Do you see Alessandra?
Yes, I do, but they're all connecting. First, they're starting with.
I see. Okay. I see only you now. That's okay.
I switched back to gallery. So
That's okay.
Great. There's Mark. Hey, Mark. Samuel, can you see Mark? He's going in and out of video though, Mark.
Well, I should send an email to Julia.
Yes. Samuel, can you see Mark? He is waving.
Yes, but he's not in the gallery. He's in the gallery, but up there.
You see
I'm
him?
up here.
See him, yes, yeah.
Good, good. Good to see you again, Mark.
Good to see you again.
Wow.
Mhm.
Somebody's phone call. That's mine. I can't answer that. So I also see Ellie. Samuel, Ellie Seraph is here.
Where is Eli? Where is he?
You have to look around the screen.
Me.
You may have to scroll, Samuel, because you
No,
may have.
I see your big picture and few images up there. So I don't see anybody.
So be sure you're checked on gallery again.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm in gallery now. Yes. Where is Eli Asaraf?
He's waving.
I'm waving.
Oh, Eli, shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom, bracha.
And I see, keep looking around, Samuel, see who you see.
I am, but there is no names yet on the frames.
Oh, that's interesting. That
Now
makes-
names.
So there's Bernard Kramer. Hi, Bernard.
Where is he?
He's waving to you. That's how we're going to do this, everybody, is wave to Samuel if you are the one we're talking to.
Alessandra Dior. Alessandra, say hello to David.
Hi, David.
Hi, Alessandra. Alessandra and I studied with Samuel. I think it was last year, wasn't it? Or was it decades ago? I can't tell.
Yeah, it's hard to say here or there now.
All the
Now
same.
and then.
David, would you want us to all mute while this is going on?
I'll tell you what, thanks, Mark. What I would recommend everybody is if you know you have music or sound or anything in the background of your specific room, please mute. Otherwise, you can stay on for this moment just so Samuel can communicate with you. Mark, it's a great idea. Eventually, we will do that. I see Devorah.
Where is she?
So Devorah's wave.
Now I see her. Now I see her.
Hi.
Good to see you, Devorah.
Nice to see you too.
Samuel, some of the people that are arriving are also friends of mine and students of mine and colleagues. I'd like to call them colleagues more than students.
Are they from this planet?
Some of them, not all of them. Definitely not all of them.
Well, welcome. I welcome all of you, really. There are a few people I begin to recognize. Jay Miller from Hungary. Hi, Jay.
Jay, are you sometimes there's enough of us to be.
You have
Hi.
to
Shalom, Samuel.
yeah, that's it. Unmute so you can say hello to Mark. You
Hey,
remember,
Mark.
You remember
Hey,
Omega?
Jay. Hey,
Yeah.
man. Good to see you.
You remember the Omega basketball? Mark? And
Yes. Yes.
remember that scene? That Jay flew upon the above the high the ball, basketball, and landed in Mars. Remember?
So for those of you that are arriving, and there's multiple worlds that are gathering right now, from Mark's and Samuel's of many years back, who are seeing ourselves for the first time in decades. And
That's right.
so that's what's going on. We're just kind of doing, this is the ante room before we start the event itself. Samuel, do you want to scroll and say hello to anyone else before we die? I see Risa. She has arrived.
Where is she?
Keep waving, Risa. That's the way that Samuel can see you sticking out. Can you see, Samuel, you may need to scroll because we have more than 25%.
Oh, I can scroll. I don't know. Oh, okay. Oh, there is more people.
Yes.
Charna, I recognize, and Risa, Caparo. Caparo, you have to deal with Yom Kippur, right? Risa,
Yes.
how are you? Where is Sergio?
Sergio couldn't come. I texted him and he said he wasn't able to be here, but he'll watch the replay.
He'll watch the replay.
Right.
And here I see Michael and Ula. Michael Kosoy, my good friend, and Ula from Fort Collins, Colorado. And here we see the Rabbi Charna. Hi,
Yeah.
Charna.
An honor to be here as always. I'm so excited for what Shefa will come down from your words of wisdom.
Well, I hope we can share something very, very valuable. You know, I know you were present in the gathering of the sparks. And there is one good thing that everyone who speaks, there is a yellow frame in the picture, which is good. And there is Helene, right?
There's Lane. Yes, that's right. Lane Barton, you mean?
No,
Hey, I was talking about your artichoke, your spiritual adventure in eating an artichoke about 2 weeks ago.
that's the ceremony I did in many ashrams. I created an artichoke ceremony and presented how an artichoke, after you eat it, is an art form in the plate and not just as garbage.
Mm-hmm.
The art form. Everything is an art form, which is beautiful, Samuel. I have an idea, Samuel. It feels like we might want to go ahead and jump in. What do you think?
Are we ready to swim?
I think we're ready to swim. Mark has begun.
So, wow. This is interesting. This is interesting. And
Yeah.
some people from England, Jeremy.
Yes.
Oh,
Israel.
Israel. Who's in Israel?
Well,
Hila.
I don't think Ellie's in Israel, but he's from Israel. So
Who?
Ellie Saraf.
Elisa Raf. He lives in Israel. Where is he?
I think he's in New York now, right, Ellie?
I don't know if Ellie know
I'm in New York.
the great legacy of his family in Morocco.
I don't know.
I'm from Iraq, but originally, not Morocco.
From where?
Iraq. I was born in Iraq.
So that's why they send you from North Africa to Iraq.
Babylonian.
But yeah, but the family Asaraf, we have many in Morocco too. Yeah.
So I'm going to angle us towards we are already swimming. So it's not like we're going to begin swimming, but we will begin. And Courtney is in Oregon. I see Courtney Engelman. So hello to all those who are here, also not visual, but here in spirit, in voice, in tablets and phones. So I'm just going to, Samuel, if it's okay, I'll go ahead and begin. Yeah?
Yeah, please go ahead. Even some of the faces are not unknown to me, but I know they are enlightened beings.
Yes, luckily everybody on here is
Everybody on here is enlightened.
wonderful. It's a good place to start. So I'm going to put Samuel and I on for a moment here.
Where are you? I don't see you.
So I'm going to I made it just you and me, Samuel. Andy, do you see us both, or do you see just
Yes, I'm on speaker view. So Samuel will want to go to speaker view.
Samuel, can you change from gallery to speaker view?
Okay, I got to speaker view. Oh la la, that's good.
So everyone else, depending on what you have on your screen, your choice, you do gallery and you see everybody. If you do speaker, you'll see just Samuel and I, or one of us as we're speaking in a little bit longer way. So that's up to you. So let me just kind of dive in and say what an incredible joy I have within me. I'm sort of effusively overflowing with my spirit, as you can see in Samuel's mischievous face. He has been a big part of my life since 17 years old, when he stopped me in my walk and said, "Hey, look over here to what you can't see." Oh my gosh. Oh, Samuel.
That's from your dossier, 17.
Wow, and that was my real hair. Wow.
Everybody can see that?
That's me at 17. Thank you, Samuel, for being so kind to share that.
There's another one.
Oh my gosh. These must be pictures that I sent to you. Oh my God.
Yeah, we slowly see the receding hairline.
Yes, you slowly see the hair going back.
We got old.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, well, the bodies did, but good gosh, we haven't changed. I think we're still 8 or 12 years old.
Yes.
So everybody, the format today is just questions with me and Samuel mostly, and Mark will be chiming in, and then we will go into questions and answers towards the end. We're going to start.
I see one of my good friends, Paul Russell, from planet Mars.
From the planet Mars. Well, welcome, Paul. Glad you made it.
Yeah, I didn't hear from him for 2,000 years. So,
Hey, 2000, that's not so long in Mars time, huh?
yeah, in our Jewish time, 2,000 years is 2 days.
Ah, got you. So I am trying to get to a photo that I want to show you all of Samuel and I. I think this is it. So here we go. We're going to do this a little bit throughout, off and on, showing you photos and all. I'm not sure why it is not showing up at the present moment, but give me 2 seconds and we'll see if it does. It's Samuel, it's the one of you and I being silly together, which is unusual, of course, for us. So
At this time, we have to be funny. Remember the silly land exercises?
I don't.
In the cycles, in the integration cycle, there is a silly land episode where we do silly things, but very good exercises.
So describe what you ask of us at that moment while I'm looking for the photo.
But
That exercise, describe it a little bit.
we do silly movements.
Uh,
I will speak about the silly movements that are the secret of longevity.
Silly movements are the secret of longevity. So everybody, please remember that. You're gonna
I will give you a little detail about it.
Mark is giving us a demonstration.
Oh,
For those
he
of you-
already performing.
Yeah, he's already there.
He's playing the disappearing. It does disappear. See?
He's never not performing. So I'm not just riffing you all to spend time. I'm actually trying to see how to raise a photo that has been meaningful for me throughout my life. So instead of doing it,
Andy can do it.
Are you trying to do a screen share, David?
yeah, and the only thing is it doesn't show it as available, even though I have it up and ready to share. So that's what yeah, here we
Send it
go.
to me?
Here we go.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah. Wow.
Here we are. So this is Samuel and I when we were both, I think, 14 and 18. We lost our hair early.
That's 2012 in the workshop.
So
Yeah.
he gave us an alumni workshop that allowed those of us over the many years to come back and be together and take a workshop with him again. So this is Samuel and us. So Samuel, I'm going to jump in with a couple of questions, if you don't mind. Are you ready?
Oh, you did the introduction already?
I haven't done your bio yet. That's the next step.
Okay.
So for those of you that would like to know more about Samuel and his storyline or his journey up to now on this planet, so again, you can do speaker view or gallery. It's up to you. So Samuel was born in a small, I need music in the background, gentle, quiet music. Samuel was born in a small village in the Atlas Mountains of Morocco. He grew up in the home of what he calls a simple and remarkable family with a lineage back to 15th century Spain and before. This lineage carries with it, from father to son, the ancient wisdom of the Hebrew science and mysticism of the Kabbalah. At a young age, what? If you ever want to insert anything, you're welcome, Samuel. At a young age, Samuel embarked on the first of many adventures, first to Israel, then Paris, Europe, New York City, and eventually Boulder, Colorado. On these journeys, he was exposed to different schools of knowledge, including alchemical and Sufi traditions, which he eventually synthesized into his own teachings. While in Paris, this is a big time for him, while in Paris, he studied dance and theater at the Sorbonne, and while in Paris, discovered the art form of mime and studied under the masters and the father of mime, Etienne Decroux and Marcel Marceau. In mime, Samuel found his path. He's written a number of books, which I continue to be inspired by. And Samuel, perhaps a bit later, we can go into the specificity of the books, each one.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. His books continue to inspire me to remember the invisible mystery and the oneness behind all things. So to complete his intro, Samuel lives in Boulder still and continues his work there through his school, Le Centre du Silence, or the Center of Silence, teaching and working with people one-on-one worldwide. So if you feel inspired today, I'll be sharing more with you with his email, how you can speak with him again to continue to get his counsel and inspiration one-on-one. Reb Zalman Schachter, a great soul on this planet, said about Samuel, he teaches a Kabbalistic Tai Chi in which God and man are fused in mime. I'll read that again. He teaches a Kabbalistic Tai Chi in which God and man are fused in mime. And I will just add to end this on a personal note. I'd like to say that Samuel altered the direction of my life by pointing me to what my soul had always already knew, this invisible mystery behind all that is. And for that, Samuel, I will always from my heart be more than grateful. So welcome, Samuel.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
This is even better, I think.
So if anyone is, what I might do is put everyone on mute for the moment. Samuel, I thought about starting out with just your foundations. You bring so much to life now and through all your teachings, but you started as a young boy and you share about your grandfather and your mother in your books, many books that you have. Can you just tell us kind of how the foundation of your cosmology, how you see life came into your life and how it traveled with you forward? How did your foundation begin? I have to unmute you too, Samuel. When I muted everyone, I apologize. Samuel is the master of silence, so it was appropriate, but please speak if you.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. In my recent book, From Ecstasy to Lunch, I said something about what I could say about my family and some stories, childhood stories. But to make it brief, okay, to make it brief is that the environment I grew up in the early 30s in Morocco was very modest. Few things that very influenced me a lot is I never heard my parents or grandparents or my mother speaks only when it's necessary. So this is a very strong, when I came out to the world and saw people abusing words, I was happy to know that to try to speak when necessary. The other thing is we didn't study Kabbalah, we lived it. We didn't study information Kabbalah, we lived it. we didn't intellectualize Kabbalah, we sang it through various beautiful liturgic songs that are still active, still in Moroccan Sephardic communities. That tune, that sound is still existing. And from a young age, I just, speaking from the eyes of today, I had enough 2,000 years of exile, and I want to go to the land of my ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. And so, without any ID, whatever, I went without any money with a little suitcase until I arrived here and there and smuggled the frontier, the borders of Algiers, etc., to Marseille, where I was there in 2 camps, helping young people with my little performances here and there until I got to Israel. So in Israel, I was in the kibbutz first, and then in agriculture school, and then in the army, and from there to Paris. With my friend, Moni Yakim.
Sure.
Who is now in Israel.
Speaking theater was not enough for me. So I looked for an avenue, because you studied dance and you studied, and somehow the words seems very inadequate for me to express really myself. It's.
Samuel, one of the things you said in a recent interview that I saw was somebody said, so your grandfather taught you Kabbalah, and you said, no, that's not how it works. He never even said the word Kabbalah.
Living today in a world that is abusing Kabbalah and getting stocked with a lot of information, books and intellectual Kabbalah, that is not that. It's a description, which is okay. We have to be informed, but to live it is totally different. And that it can only be transmitted, which I tried in the Gathering of the Sparks for 13 years in Boulder, in a certain way, exploring the essential divine language, the Hebrew, that is today spoken in Israel and all over the world, is a convenient language like all of them. Most languages are convenience. The Hebrew is the essential language, and I will speak about some examples later.
So, Samuel, one of the things you just said was there's a lot of books and intellectual knowledge. I have people speak to me about the Kabbalah, and they say, I was interested, but there was so much information, and I lost interest. And I think if you would do me the favor and share essentially, because it was the same when you were teaching us, when I did the 30-day Mime workspace with you, that's you took the alphabet letter each day, one alphabet letter, explored the universal principle contained within the letter. Then we did a physical application or a mime based on that principle. So we were learning deep principles rather than the concepts in books. And in fact, we didn't pick up many books during the teaching. So can you speak about the essence?
I designed 22 Hebrew letter movements, which I taught part of it some place, both in Colorado and in New York. It is very difficult to describe it unless you do some exercise. First, I think you have to be informed about it. You spoke about the letter Aleph that I have in my head. Aleph, right?
Yes.
Aleph is a mute language, mute. She doesn't have any voice. and she is almost invisible, unheard about. And in the invisible stairway, I speak about, I took from the Zohar a story about the bright letters before creation. They came to present themselves before the creator. Every letter wants the word to be created by it because she represents a code of existence of life in the cosmos, not just in this world. And so all of them were accepted, etc. There's a whole story, you can read it there. But Aleph was hiding behind the curtain. She didn't want to come. She didn't want to be visible. Remember, I say she. So the creator says, Aleph, Aleph, why are you hiding? She says, you already chose with what letter to begin the creation, Bereshit, Bet. I'm useless. He says, no, 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 no. He says, by you, humans can dare to say that the creator exists everywhere, nowhere, and cannot be seen everywhere. And so that's the role of Aleph. This is one of the surfaces of this beautiful story. I think you could read it in the.
Yes, it is beautiful.
But as a hint, I will tell you a hint. All my books are Kabbalistic books, but not with the terms that you know.
Right. Yeah.
In the terms that you know, the 10 principles of body speak are based on essential human and cosmic principles. I call them components. And each one of them, this is the Besetera Madrigal. I talk that, I designed the cover myself and I called it in the Invisible Stairway, but actually it's a verse from the Song of Songs, Yonati Behagvea Sela, for those who understand Hebrew. And there is the letters of every verse of this verse are in the edge in the right side of the stairway that I designed myself. And the stairway in the form of the book is Aleph. See, the circle up, the circle down, and the stairway in the middle.
These three elements, the one in the middle and then these two.
Yes, that's Aleph.
Yes. You know, one of the other things you mentioned to me about Aleph when we were studying that I remember, so remember this was a long time ago, but was that this center was a way of appearing the division between heaven and earth. But in reality, there is no separation, something like that. Am I anywhere on target?
Yes. The only thing that I should add a little bit, that every letter, it's a code. The whole creation was created by these 22 spiritual cosmic powers that are activated on many levels and dimensions in existence. It is important to understand that because relating to what's happening today of the poisonous abuse of language leads to panic and destruction of culture.
Right.
And so when you begin to, or for instance, the great cosmic command of the creator, Yehi Or, let there be light, translation, which is not that. Or Aleph Vav Resh is light. That's how it's translated. Yeah.
So
that's how it's translated. But actually is three distinctive powers that each letter produces when they are together. It depends where is the location of that letter in space. And Aleph, Vav, and Resh, if I make a quick reading of it, it's the invisible connected with the container.
The indivisible, wait, say that again slowly.
Invisible essence is connected with the container, cosmic container or local container, whatever, the house you are in or the building, whatever, that's Bet. That's in Resh. There are three letters, Bet, Kaf, and Resh, that are the containers, but in a different dimension.
So one of the things,
spiritual powers that have been interpreted over the history in the wrong way because they didn't know Hebrew. They didn't have access to this language, which is essential according to what I know. Because when you say something in Hebrew, like fire, it's almost the sound of fire, or water, it's almost the sound of fire. It's like for instance, the Eastern Chinese ideograms, remember? They build the house like a house and objects.
Right.
But the Kabbalistic way, the letters, the essence of it, they don't have any image. You know, they were distorted in the tarot cards, by the way. It has essentialized existence in a code way. So when you read Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, it's not in the beginning. I keep screaming that, and it's God. It's not God. It's not created. It's not heaven. It's not earth. So everybody says, so what is it, Samuel? They want me to tell them, you see. Because in Judaism, we don't have answers. We are question marks on earth.
We are question marks on earth. We
Yes.
don't have answers. Boy, the mind really wants to battle that one, but if you can let go, you can let go. There's a beautiful.
That's why, for instance, when people study the Zohar or any literature of any Kabbalistic source, it's just translation. They just translated the Zohar, but it's just translation. Sir, translation. And translator, there is an Italian saying I keep repeating, tradutori, traditori. The translators is a traitor. Is known, you know. So hence our scriptures of Bereshit, and as I said, this knowledge was given in this language, not in English, not in French, not in Latin, not in Greek. And so access to it is to learn it. That's all. It's not big, but a lot of people don't have time now, you see.
Right, right. You wrote something in one of your books. You wrote, to know the alphabet of creation. Well, I'm going to premise this. As you describe the importance of the alphabets as a codified essence, right? An essence into code, so to speak,
right.
Not a physical form per se. There's this place I want you to talk about in a moment where the human body becomes the exploration of those principles. But before I go there, this is the entrance to that. You wrote, to know the alphabet of creation, and with it become not only the letter, but the calligrapher of space, is a state of bliss and union with the void.
Right. Now the Hebrew letters were called in the Zohar the white covering the black, carving. And I demonstrated that in the first introduction of Body Speak about this principle, but I didn't say that's the Aleph or that's a Kabbalistic principle. And about the introduction of a dot. Yod is a dot. You have an empty page, it's empty. But it's not empty. I will go to that in a minute. Once you have a pen that you call a pen, an object that you call a pen, which I call water, put it in the dot on the page, you have a dot, right?
I'm going to do it for you so you can describe it.
Okay. Well, you have the picture of the cover of my book. You can put it there where I define that. If you have that picture that was in the invitation that you sent, you know?
Yeah.
So, and that's the source of it. And little by little from that dot, that cell, or that whatever you call it, and all the letters are, as you said, I said, they are in the body. Manifesting in a certain way, in an obvious way, but we don't have the eyes to see. Sometimes in my gathering the sparks, I ask the students to please listen with your spiritual ear, not with your physical ear. And that is the dimension I'm telling you. For instance, there's an example I gave yesterday. You know, the prophet Eliyahu, you call him Elijah.
Mm-hmm.
Elijah appears in every circumcision house of Jewish people all over the planet each time. So imagine how many appearances are there. So we ask, how can he be in so many places, ubiquitous? And the answer is, again, it's connected to that because some very, very developed Kabbalists that are using these 5 senses which are attached to it as existence, but they use them on a very deep spiritual level, and they can see what you and I cannot see. And so they can see Eliyahu appearing, you know, and science and psychology has been trying to explain how come you see things, and you call a person who sees things or the child that sees his invisible friend is crazy. It's not. So in other words, part of this Kabbalistic teaching is also learning how to develop that. Remember, you were there in the workshop in the beginning, and I said we have 5 senses, 5 doors to perceive this and this and that. Okay, now it's being proven by what do you call that, science, that is actually illusion, but actually it is real. There is a term in Kabbalah called halal panui, empty space. Is there empty space? Do you remember in the first session we did?
And I don't remember, but I know, I'm sure it was there.
Well, Mark and others can remember that I made people realize that this space is not empty. It's full with fantastic bright sparks. Literally, you can see it with your eyes. So if I move in space, I have to move these right so I can go in. In other words, the world was created for me to walk in. And that's the secret.
The world was created.
Walk. You don't just walk automatically.
Right. So you just exemplified this. Would you physicalize that again? Not just walk, but go in through the.
Okay.
Okay.
Here it is. Most of us walk and sit like automatons without any sense of awareness.
Right.
And his introduction in the first session says that this space is not empty. It's full. With what? Well, with objects that we don't see with the spiritual eyes, with beings, with thoughts, and with memories, and all that. So we created a situation in which people will see those dots, bright dots. Everybody can see it by not focusing. And as it says, I can demonstrate it, but until you feel it,
sure.
Get with it.
Sure.
So I have to move these little dots with respect to this right and left so I can go in.
Yes.
This, what I just described, is a Kabbalistic principle of great Kabbalists and of the Ari, etc., that God removed itself from space so you and I could walk in that quote unquote empty space, which is not empty.
You remind me very much, Samuel. Now I remember something, and I'll just show you what I remember. It was when you said walk through the space.
Right.
You said move every spark or every piece of dust with respect. I remembered. It brings tears because you were teaching.
Yes.
You were teaching us to respect everything, even that which we saw in our way. And when I translate that with people or with myself, it's this honor of the totality, and yet understanding that there's a flow to life, and just be respectful, even if you move things out of the way. That's really beautiful.
Right. There is an example in one of my books, I think, also invisible, and also I think there is an eye exercise we call the eye exercise. Some of you may remember it. And it is a very fascinating exercise. You stand face to each other and look at each other. But the difference is to be aware of the beams that goes from the eye to the eye of each other. They are real. And so I asked to do the I not, the exercise called I not. I am not, I not. I asked the people to do a not with the invisible rays from the eye to eyes. And then you created the great question of Shakespeare, to be or not to be. People have difficulty to do that, to do little dots. And you know who does it first? The best. In my children workshop that I did in the 80s, children do it so easy. And the other says, how you can do it too. But since that connection, what you call invisible or a beam, or the power of that eye, connecting your eye and my eye, doing this, it's possible. And people you see torturing themselves, go in this way and that way. Meanwhile, they are exercising a lot of body, you see.
Yeah, a lot of mine. You've also commented on this is going to be a funny question for you, but you're used to paradoxes. So I'd like you to share a few words about silence.
Well, silence is S-I-L-E-N-C-E. I don't hear any responses from the audience. I use silence in my teachings.
I know. It moved me very much.
I say a sentence and give time to the student to chew it, because teaching, you have to chew it and digest it. I'm speaking about spiritual digesting and chewing. That time is where the person learns. Because you are obligated, not obligated, you are faced with that moment of absorbing it. So you have to be present. So you use the presence, in the 70s, I did this tour in ashrams in California, and I did a performance about yoga, someone who studied yoga. Fascinating way, but I failed in every step, by the way, to do that position. So that's an example, for instance, of what I'm talking about, and it is possible. So the I not, it's a fantastic exercise. So what I did, I am the provocateur. I go behind, not behind. The two people here and trying to do the knot, I go and cut the knot. But some of them, the children will be scattered because you disconnected it, and to find out if they are working in it. You remember?
Yeah.
Mark, do you remember this exercise?
I do. Yes, I use a version of it in my teaching as well. Yeah, it's brilliant.
That's very good. Yeah, I'm happy that you do that. And it is easy. But meanwhile, the whole trick here is to make people unaware that they are actually exercising the body in 5 different ways that they never did. See what's happening?
Mark is exploring this in teaching at Juilliard. So, and you know this, Samuel, but for others, Samuel's teaching also informed Mark's life deeply, and he continues to share it in Juilliard in his teaching. Are you teaching mime and movement, Mark, or?
Well, I am the original question mark, so it's good. So I teach with a lot of questions, even my own. Yes, and I train actors, but it's more than training actors, and that's what Samuel brought to my world, is that he's training the human being and beyond, the beingness of being and becoming, which is, I know, our theme for today. And he taught me to be a lover of paradox, and that laughter is the collision of yes and no at the same time. And so when my students are laughing, I know they're learning because that lovely collision is happening and their cells are dancing. And I can always reference Samuel's teachings and his voice and his being. And it is like wearing a magic hat when I'm training actors. And this one exercise where the beam of connection
the eyes,
is what is unique and interesting is that beam can be sustained over a great distance.
That's right.
It can be stretched and maintained and then brought also very, very close, the way a child would look.
Mark, that is a very good example, and it's Kabbalistic principle. You want me to tell it to you? You have to ask.
Will you please tell me the Kabbalistic principle behind the stretching of the focus?
Listen, there is a word in Hebrew, the first letter, Aleph, the middle letter, Mem, and the last letter, Taf. And both of them are called Emet. And in it, and between Aleph and Mem and Taf, there are the other letters, but we don't see them. So that's the invisible connection of these code letters acting in different dimensions to produce energy, what we call today energy, but it is possible to see the invisible with physical eyes, but you have to learn. It's possible to learn. But since we are 99.9% immersed in worshiping the words and the letters and panicking and destroying culture with letters and words, I have to fold on in my cocoon. What do you call it?
Cocoon work.
So it's important. So therefore, respect to space. I don't know if you remember once a good student of mine who was in Boulder Mine Theater, Chris Kennelly. I had an interview once with, and he says, what did you learn with Samuel all these years? He says, I learned two things. How to place a stamp in the right side of the envelope so it can get to its destination, and also how to tie my shoelaces. So it seems, but I know what he's talking about. That's how it comes.
Samuel, do you want to tell you that story about the young boy that went into the forest with a great teacher to learn, and he came back and said, I learned how to tie my shoes. Do you remember that story in the book?
Hasidic story, yes. I don't know that story, but I know in the book I put some stories, the things you can learn from a thief, from a gangster, how they steal by night, very devoted to each other, very faithful. What's connecting between them? What can we learn from a gangster? Or bankster, they call them now. Their sense of unity and faithful to each other. That we can see. It's a whole list of some Kabbalistic and Hasidic sayings about this, what you can learn from this. I added something about modern world email and internet and all the AI and all that stuff.
You know, you're reminding me, and if I don't do it right now, I will forget. But Samuel, I'd like to show you a photo of the source of deeply who you are, which is your grandfather. Would you be okay with that for a moment?
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
I will now show that. Give me 2 seconds, please.
Yeah, okay, that's it. Well, this is the image of a great man whom today I call a very hidden Kabbalist. He was wealthy. Nobody knew about it. He gives charity. Nobody knows that he did. A lot of things I learned from him. And I think last time I said that story that he took me to the Medina in Fez, in Morocco. Medina in Fez is like the Kasbah. It's tiny streets, snaky wise streets, etc., etc. And we stopped. We traveled from Sofro to Fez, and we stopped at a a hole-in-the-wall store that sells kufta. You know this kufta?
No.
Kebab,
Okay.
etc. So we stopped there, and he ordered a little food for me to eat it. And so I looked at him, asking mental question: is this kosher? And he moved his head and says, eat it. After I ate it outside, he went inside with the man who was the seller, and we went downstairs to a little cave, and we found a beautiful Sephardic synagogue inside. And we prayed with them, mincha, as it says, and we came up, and we returned to Sefru. During all these voyage or journey, not a word exchanged between us. He didn't say anything. Later I understood, that there were times that Jewish people in North Africa were forced to Islam, etc., by sword and by torture. And they're still among them, still in Morocco, in the Kasbahs of different cities in Morocco. So this is one of the little stories that I learned from him.
Can you say, Samuel, that he taught you also through silence?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. He has quite a few professions. He was a winemaker, a soap maker, he was agriculture, very talented. And he has one cow, it's around the house, outside, that he feeds it before even praying, before even washing. He goes outside to feed the cow. He says the animal should eat before you.
Wow.
So it shows the respect of this attitude that when you put a fork in the table, you don't make noise. You respect the table and you respect the fork.
And the animal.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, you have one other great teacher in your life that you share with me and you share about in the book. And I'm going to give you a photo of someone else that was essential to your life.
Right.
Would you like to share a little bit about your mother?
Yes. I like to share something very important. Some women, Jewish women in Morocco, some did not know to read and write, but they were full of practical wisdom that you cannot imagine. The only exchange with my mother here and there whenever I did something is a saying from Kohelet, from Psalms, or whatever, that is exactly to your situation, and you understand what. There was a story with her. My grandfather once sent me to the market. I was a young boy, with an empty bottle to fill it with oil, okay? And give me the right money, etc. And I went. But before I went, my mother was there. He began to pull my ears. That's why I have big ears. He began to pull my ears. And my mother says, why do you punish him before he made a mistake? He says, no, he will remember it all the way to bring the bottle full without breaking it with the right change.
So he was making sure you did it all right.
Yeah, but I really, over the thing, I looked at my ears were red.
Yeah.
I didn't know why. Later, I understand.
Well, she also told you a beautiful, beautiful story that you have in the book that I'm going to show you again. This book, if everybody of the books that are out there right now that Samuel wrote, this is the most recent one, and it is a mixture of life stories, but meaningful writings and poems, but all of them deeply grounded in the truth of our being. Beautiful, beautiful book. And in it, Samuel,
you can read that beginning of it. I'll say something about it.
About the beginning of the book?
No, the beginning of what I wrote about my mother.
Yes. This is the ink, If All Seas Were Ink.
Yes.
You want me to read that for them?
Yeah, for the people to hear.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Samuel writes, when I was young, living in my mother's house, she used to tell me with great affection at certain times, if all the oceans of the world became ink, and all the trees became pens, and the heaven and the earth became scrolls, I still could not describe the way I love you. Nothing will be sufficient to express my love to you.
Okay, that was that. I dedicated the book to her. The thing is, for years, I was wondering from where this comes.
Yes.
Until one day, in the holy day of Shavuot, there is a prayer that we say, which is very ancient. It's called Azharot. And in it, it was written in Aramaic, exactly that. And that was said by a great rabbi in the times of the Mishnah, that if all these will happen and the ink will become ocean, etc., he could not understand even the tail of a letter, not even the Torah. So it tells you the immensity, and this immensity that is expressed in the code of letter Yod. Yod is a little thing, little dot, nothing. Now it's there, now it's not, but it contains immensity. Once you go in it, there are different journeys, and you choose which one to go.
Beautiful.
And if you ask me, where is that in a physical body? You will ask it, go ahead.
Well, I'm wondering, Samuel, where is that in the
First, in your eye.
First thing, what? Your heart?
These are the two yods. And with your eye, you can see the immensity of space. You can see there is a story about the horizon, the Aleph horizon that in my book, I speak about that, the horizon of Aleph. And so you can see a lot with it. We speak about physical yod. Right. Now imagine if you dive, as I said, in a gathering spot, you dive a little, you can begin to use the spiritual eyes, and you can discover that science is dragging after the Kabbalah, after so many, this knowledge that is very well known, and it is, which today is just a information and intellectualization of diagrams, and
right.
That's over conceptual thinking, which is actually the block. For instance, let me tell you one thing about learning how to learn. When one wants to understand, right? Right? You want to understand the mysteries of the world, right?
Yeah.
Right? In Kabbalah, you have to stop understanding. And that's the most difficult. And you study something, you have a question. So that's why Monsieur Marco Arsenjovich, there is no such thing as paradox. And we have to recycle the paradox, which is the whole design of the tree of life, And the balance, that is expressed in body speak again. The balance of the right and left. And I call it walking on a tightrope. It's my personal experience in Paris, because everybody around me pretended to be Picasso and Jeanne d'Arc and all that stuff. And so this pretense is what followed me all over in America, especially here, in which the obvious, and here I'll give you this exercise for everybody, that now I think we can understand it. It's called OMSOL, OMSOL, right? It's obvious movements, secret of longevity. If you develop this respect for yourself, for space, for the other, you live longer. You live longer. If you honor your father and mother in the 10 Commandments, you live longer. But it's a it's what do you call it? It's not doesn't connect.
Yeah, today I think also, Samuel, the whole principle of connectedness, not just because of what's going on with COVID and all that, but also just this concept of separation and individuality and
Right.
all of that begins to strip down and remove us from the sense of the connection that is our essence. And
You
I
want me to answer that?
say that again.
You want me to answer it with a little
Sure, please.
Facebook? You connect people.
Facebook connects, but you can remain disconnected. It's an irony, right?
Facebook is the way to disconnect people, not connect.
Yeah,
That was ironic what I said.
it is ironic. Yeah.
But you said that being and becoming, for instance.
Yeah, let's address that because that's the name of the program.
Being and becoming is what we call learning and how to learn. If you want to learn how to learn, stop understanding and stop thinking and be with that which you study. It's not complicated. But now, you know, there is an article in my recent book called Spiritual Ratatouille about those who read it, they know what I'm talking about, and about the spiritual slogans that are now running around all over because we escape the essence, you see. When you say L-I-G-H-T, light, that's not light. It's that you and I accept that is light, etc. But I went away somewhere else. I wasn't to give me back the line. What is it?
It's okay. I don't remember exactly, except
No. This Omson. It's an exercise.
Yeah. Right.
If you begin to respect the other, yourself, respect the seat, the chair you sit on, be with looking at your friend that is facing you, or being aware of that fork planted in the egg and eating it consciously, present with the fork, etc. You will not cause accidents. We have in the workshops specific exercises how to prevent accidents by doing conscious accidents. Say it again. You create accidents. How can you create an accident? Well, you know, in Mime we can do it. I'd give you an example. I have a piece called Banana Man, right? Mark, do you remember that? And I begin to eat a little banana like this, and it grows until a big rocket. I have to climb on it to peel it and eat it, etc. It has something in that in which that style of exaggerating everything. Now, you have to respect the banana because it's food. Do you know how many people around you respect food? No, really, people eat like animals. In the Kabbalah, this level we live in now is the lowest of existence. The lowest of Asiya. There are the different metric dimensions of the worlds, the Kabbalah, the Atzilut, Beriah, Yetzirah, and Asiya, it's parallel universe. So what you do here affect that. And they give us three, according to what I developed myself too, three main central relationships to live in harmony with you and everybody in this world. One, to develop the relationship with your maker. Who brought you here? One. Two, to develop a relationship with yourself. Who you are? You are what? The other one, which is the most important according to sages, is to develop relationship with the other. In Kabbalah, the other is holy. The other is not the enemy. The other must be respected, no matter who, because Adam, Haviv Adam Shenivra B'Tselem, as they say in Pirkei Avot, beloved and dearest one the human being that was created with the spiritual image of the creator, period. So if we can begin to see the other that way, there's no need to kill or to fear or to cause fear to others, etc., etc. So this is the three main relationships to chase the paradox, to help stop understanding. You know, I have lucky to deal with a lot of students, and they all want to understand. Sure. You can't read even a text of the Kabbalah if you are trying to understand it. Forget about it. So it seems paradoxical, but it's not.
There's a Sufi author named Balyani who says, abandon the intellect, understand by the light of unveiling. So right. Similar. Samuel, in your travels, you've gained such a foundation of these principles that from Kabbalistic history and lineage, in terms of translating a lot of your teachings into our world and people that live every day. We also, I believe, probably have some questions. Would you be open to taking some questions as well?
Yes, I'll be very happy. Yes, please.
Okay. So anyone, I see Helene, so I will ask you first. Helene, you'll need to unmute, but everyone, if you have any kind of question, please feel open to raise your hand, if you would. Helene, one sec. The way best to do that is to raise the hand by going down to, I believe it's participant or reactions on the computer, and you'll see raise hand as one of the options. And then I can see it. You go from wherever you are right up to the screen. So if you can raise a hand that way, it'd be great.
In the gallery, I shall go to the gallery or no?
That would be good, Samuel. Yes, go to gallery.
I went to the gallery so I can see the person who
okay. So
Andy's still with us?
Andy's right here. Yep.
Okay, good.
Right here.
Okay. So, and for those of you who don't know, Andy is my associate and has helped me with technology and developing courses, and he's an integral part of this co-creation of life that I call the awakened life that I do. So welcome, Andy. Thank you for being here. So I saw Helene a second ago.
Yeah, just a quickie.
Yes.
If I could. Samuel, this is fabulous, and I thank you from the bottom of my soul. And that's pretty big stuff. My question, and I'm afraid to have to be trying to understand, is I was doing great with feeling the eyes and the lines between two people, even having kind of a I and now relationship with Zoom people and feeling kind of a namaste and seeing a soul. What is your purpose in the knot? I'm sorry if I have to try to understand, but I would love to know.
Samuel, you're aware you talked about a knot in the line between
right.
the eyes?
Yes, it's invisible to the physical eye. But as I said, that exercise of seeing in the space here, now, in the space around us, that is full with bright sparks, dots, light, the space is filled with light, right? If we begin to see it, and that is by unfocusing the eyes, if you can do it. It's a simple exercise. So when you unfocus the eyes, you can see that. And therefore, you can see it also in the shower. Some people take shower here.
A few.
I asked the obvious again. Yeah. Andy, yes. You take shower, Andy?
Andy swims about 2 miles to 4 miles every day.
That's fantastic. Nishama also swims every day. She's
so,
like a fish.
Helene was asking about the line between eyes, and you talked about a knot in there.
To make a knot of these invisible lines.
Yeah.
With the body, you know.
Oh.
Knot. K-N-O-T, whatever it is.
The idea is to maintain your connection while you are conspiring together to create this.
To create that knot, yes.
The knot, without breaking.
How interesting.
I
So
see.
yes.
That makes more sense, right, Helene? Good. Great. Thank you.
Thank you so.
Sure. Does anyone else have a question for Samuel? Samuel, you've quieted the minds in such perfection. Everyone's so quiet.
Well, J. Miller is contemplating the existence of the universe.
Yes. One of the things you also mentioned, Samuel, when you also talk about silence, you have said, I've quoted you in a second, Christopher, I'll ask you, Samuel, you said to respect the silence between someone and you.
When I am facing you, between us, there is that silence and stillness, and we're neglecting it. We are busy thinking what we're going to say or what we're going to do. When you are with one another, there is no thinking. Otherwise, you're not present.
Yep.
I call that authentic connection.
Beautiful. Yeah, silence reveals that. Well, let's go to Christopher then.
The most difficult thing. Stillness and silence are the most difficult and easy at the same time. Yes.
Do you want to say anything more about stillness and silence? I feel like that was the greatest teaching you gave me on stage, to be on stage without knowing.
Yeah, well, it has to do with being, becoming. Being what, becoming what? Being. There is a difference between audio and video, between hearing and seeing. The whole world is visual now. Information is visual, everything is visual. In Kabbalah, in Jewish tradition, we don't aspire to be enlightened because we are already. What is focusing on is listening. This is what most of us don't know how, of what I said, because when we don't feel the presence of each other and we don't appreciate it, we just, So, but most of us are talking about silence, about being. And the holy name of this great proclamation of Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, how it is translated in English in the Bible. Hear of Israel, the Lord is one, the Lord is our God. It's not that. It's not that. So what is it, Samuel? Tell us. Well, it is the way my poor English can say, listen to the beingness of creation. It's not Lord. That is one and not two. That activates everything in oneness. So my question after this to everyone here, to stop being two or three or four. Be one. So that's the proclamation. The holy name in Hebrew of the Creator is simply being. The verb of being, that's all.
Wow.
That's the most difficult. But here, everybody talks about God, Lord, being. The difference between talking and being it, right? The other ones is becoming what? And becoming what, I refer to, and I think I mentioned in one of my books, to the great verb that the Creator, Moshe asked the Creator, okay, I will go to them, but if they ask me, what's your name? See, here is again the obstacles. And he says, okay, tell them Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh, and translated everywhere in the world. I am what I am, I will be what I will be. It's not that, David. It's not that, Mark. It's not that, Risa. It's not that, Christopher. It's not that. So what is it? If I want to verbalize it after this little silence, it is to align yourself with the divine way of being and manifest it in the physical way of being. If you are like that, then you know how to choose. And what I'm speaking about freedom of choice is not freedom of choice to be to have ulcer or cancer or this or that or going there or not that. That's not a choice. It's an inner choice. It's a divine choice. The prophets have screamed all generations that the creator thinking or way of being is not like you humans. Forget about it. So this is the mystery. And everybody will ask me, teach us the mystery. Invisible, visible, blah, blah. Okay. Well, there is no such a thing as mystery. Actually, it's a Hebrew verb, which is the title of my book. Beseter hamadriga. Seter is that which is hidden, concealed. In Hebrew and in Aramaic, there is mistorin. And you can say that how from Latin and Greek mystery comes. Yeah, we were here before the Greeks, right? Yeah, before Einstein. Right?
We being.
We, the beings, the old beings.
Oh, okay.
The
Yes.
source beings. The source beings that got this knowledge in Mount Sinai. Not all of them are, don't open my eyes. But that's one of the essence. You have to choose who you are and what you become. It's a little, give me a little example, simple. You came from the formless to be a form, from the ends of infinity to be finite. So we forgot. Some of you, please go to the, David, you could get the booklet I sent you, the 50 Gates of Practical Wisdom. Please read the first paragraph.
You want me to do that now? I have it.
Yes, because it has to do with what I'm going to say. It's in the book, by the way. It's in the invisible. No, it's in the, yeah. And it is very simple, very dangerous too. So maybe our David reader will do something.
Would you like me to read the first paragraph of We Are the Creators?
That's right. Please, that one.
Know that we are creators of the universe. The ultimate problem is that we have forgotten how we created ourselves and the universe in which we live. So our main purpose is to direct our effort and focus towards remembering who and why we are here, taking the path back to the source of being, returning to our true selves. This is what we call the state of homeostasis, living with dignity, honor, and the greatness of being and becoming.
So that is one thing, remembering. You know, in the 70s, a lot of people, I think Christopher can witness that. Hi, Christopher.
Hello, Samuel.
I am with you today. I am very well with you. If you remember, what's the example I wanted to give? Oh, I forgot it. Get me back to that line.
Would you just, Samuel, do you mind repeating when you went back?
Oh, yes, I have it. Wait a minute.
Go.
I'm going to tell you a story of Nasruddin.
Oh, good.
I like Sufi stories. Most of Sufi stories are taken from the Midrashim, the ancient Midrashim, the oral Torah. So to make it actual, Nasruddin was a nobody, but probably somebody, you know, the joker. One day he went to the tea house of the village and he saw all his friends totally hypnotized by a 5 PhD Stanford professor who was telling them about the mysteries of life. Okay? And so the professor, Stanford University or Yale, whatever you want, took his hand in the pocket and stamp it on the table. He said, and I have a proof. And he put his book on the table. That's a proof, okay? Genius, 5 Nobel Prizes. Nasruddin got very concerned. He went home. The next day he came to the tea house. He says, friends, I have something very important to tell you. I have a house to sell. He's homeless. He says, no, I have a house to sell and I have a proof. He put his hand into his thing and he stamped the table. What was it? It was a brick. Brick. That's his proof. We live in a time we need proofs, okay? That God exists, that blah, 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 intellectualizing everything. And the example I kept giving to my students is this I. How many people say I love you? Raise your hands, please. No, you don't love anybody? Okay, we all love somebody, right? Hello? Thank you. Now, from my little poor English, interpreting or seeing it this way, I see where I am, I'm here. Love is in the middle, and you is there. That's a lie. So people lie to each other. And I say that in the beginning, Mark, remember we mentioned that a lot of times. Well, what is it? Contradicting.
Hi, Terry.
Acting, yes.
No, he was making, he was unmuted. Go ahead, Samuel.
Oh. Well,
I love you, but separation and a lie.
Yeah. Nobody here in these enlightened beings today can tell me what is love, L-O-V-E, or what is love in Hebrew, Aleph, Hey, Bet with Hey. If you know what is Aleph, Bet, in ancient Kabbalistic times, when a student seems to be puzzled and doesn't understand, it is not corrected with punishment or the teacher says, well, sir, you have to learn Aleph Bet again. So you would not hurt him. And when you learn the Aleph Bet, you know what it means. So love in Hebrew is Aleph with Hey, Bet with Hey. But what does it mean? It means giving. And most of us now in this culture are screaming about human rights, right? Rights. You have rights and rights and rights. Nobody speaks about duties. And there is a fantastic book I suggest to everybody to contemplate. Very ancient book, 11th or even century. It's called The Duties of the Heart. And when you just read it, you probably will be electrified. And it exists both in Hebrew and English. You just Google it and you'll find it. And so this is the difference. There is no mystery. You are the mystery. Do you know it? And if you know, do you proclaim it? Do you learn yoga and go write 5 books on yoga from a book? That's one of my performing piece. I learned yoga from a big book on stage. The positions, and I flail, and I can't find balance. That's a tragedy. It's very comical, by the way.
Samuel, does it come back to the idea of being is what we're seeking as opposed to becoming a thing or becoming an object or a label or a PhD?
No, becoming what you choose to be. This is the most difficult thing. And there are many spiritual streams tells you how. I say, no matter what spiritual stream you are, follow it. Don't go from stream to stream and never get to the ocean. Simple. That's the first verse in Kohelet. All the rivers go to the ocean. And the mystery is that the ocean is never full. So go understand that.
Yeah.
Yes, everything is full or lacking, half glass laughing, or no.
Right. I want to be conscious of time, and I want to do two things. One is I want to take one person's question who's in chat right now, because I think Christopher had to go. But well, will you tell me just, Samuel, in short, when you were talking about the beginning of Genesis and saying God or the Creator, you were talking about when Moses came down and they said,
I will be what I will be, which is not that. Yeah.
Right. How did you translate it for us one more time, please?
I will choose to be what I will be. Now, that is not human choice. It's a spiritual choice. You can choose to go Hawaii or to Alaska. That's not free choice we talk about here. The Zohar speaks about awakening. Yeah, David, you have that program, Awakening. It's very important. But to the Zohar, awakening is not awakening from the sleep. The Zohar says that the way we are awake now is sleep. Mark, I don't know if you know that, but Bonnie and I in the 60s did a whole piece with the group called Awakening. And it's beginning, it's very simple. And we used it, I used it in a workshop.
Whoever is getting a telephone message right now, you might want to mute. Go ahead, Samuel.
Where was I?
I know it interrupts the flow. Sorry for that.
That's okay.
You're asking.
You were speaking about awakening and the piece you and Moni put together.
Right. And that is very simple. And I used it in many exercises. And I used it actually in Paris in a TV French program for kids, which was, they did A like that and B like that alphabet in French. And they asked me to choose what. And I choose a flower. The idea behind it to explore both in mime and both in movement and both in a really deep meaning was my attitude that I never seen a flower. I never smelled a flower. I never was exposed to this notion that you call flower. And I went on at the process of meeting a flower. What's happening to me? What's happening? So, and since then I say, if you want to find balance in life, know that you are immortal in this bridge we call life, right? And also, what do you call it? It just slipped from me. My English is a little. Make a steady time to study the Torah. Speak little and do more. And above all, receive every human being with a happy countenance. From there, I went to my students, you don't have a right to go outside your house until you have a smile on your face. Because we carry our history, blah, 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 and we transmit it unconsciously to each other. Mm-hmm. So to be and become, you have to choose every minute. Every minute, you have to choose that. But the means to be conscious, that's all. But conscious is not conscious to touch or to, it's a presence mixed with your little egg and ratatouille. There is a book, a story in my next book called The Rabbi and Alchemist or something, comparing the principles of alchemy to Kabbalah. So it's a very good book. You can read it and go from it. So it's not complicated.
Well, Samuel, my thought is here, if we had, I would bring tea and we could sit by a fire and enjoy a long conversation, but I want to let one question come back in before we complete, and then we'll complete.
Ecstasy to lunch?
From ecstasy to lunch, and staying at lunch and staying in ecstasy. So I'm going to ask Risa to go ahead and bring in her question, okay?
I love Risa very much.
So Risa, when you're ready, unmute, please, if you would.
Can you hear me?
We
Yes.
can.
All right. Well, first of all, deep bow. It's such a joy to receive you and just, feel all the vitality and passion.
Samuel, sorry, Risa, one sec. Samuel,
Okay.
go up to speaker view, if you would.
Okay.
Click and see
Okay.
if you
Yeah,
can.
I see her now. Yes.
Go ahead, Risa.
Okay. I just it's just so delicious to listen to you, and I think of you all the time in the process of the invisible becoming visible as it's expressed, in the drinking in and kissing back. That is just the organic movement of life, the ecstasy of that. And I there's something that one of my favorite tango instructors, the late Rodolfo Denzel, used to say, there's infinite space between you. Like he would tell us, when there was no room to move on the dance floor, he'd think, how could you run out of space? There's infinite space, between I and thou, and in the whole embracing of that, and just move inside of that infinite space. And I feel like that's so much the legacy that you leave is, and it's a spirituality of sensuousness. It's really the most delicious gift to fully, become, like Eckhart used to talk about, the wife, innocent, virgin, but totally fruitful. And I'm just so grateful for you still offering your work with such love. Excuse me. I'm sorry about that. So this is more of a deep bow and to you, and how grateful I am to have just been inspired, by your presence, by your writing, by just holding that vision and bringing it into manifestation for so many years. Just a deep bow of gratitude. Love you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
I think, Risa, you speak with eloquence what we all want to say to Samuel. Samuel, as we bring the flight in towards landing after our 90 minutes of time together, I want to take a moment before I complete just to share with everybody ways to continue to be inspired by Samuel. So remember, please, that there is a plethora of books that you can purchase. What I would recommend is, if you go to Amazon and just type in Samuel Avital, it'll give you a list of these books. They all have a little bit different feel to it. I will say from myself that Ecstasy, From Ecstasy to Lunch, is incredibly beautiful, with very personal stories and the history of what became who we know now to be Samuel, as a vessel for deep teachings that come from a long lineage. So that's a beautiful book. I would have to say, Samuel, that the Mime workbook, the one that I got in the early days, also has much of your exact teachings in it, in addition to exercises. So I recommend that as well. And The Invisible Stairway is deep teachings of the Hebrew alphabet and Kabbalistic in origin more, I would say. Samuel, do you want to add to anything I've said about these books?
Well, most of the books have exercises in it that you can use too.
Mm-hmm.
And inside the Ecstasy to Lunch, for instance, there is the 50 Gates of Practical Wisdom that I still use myself every day to inspire me for this and that. And some of my students use that as a piece of contemplation every day, an area of, there are many stages there. It exists in the store, and they are available. You know, everybody needs tendency to, and if you have any questions or something, you can email me.
Everyone understand that Samuel is contactable by his email, which is SAVITAL. But there's one other way you can be in. There's two ways to be in touch with Samuel. The other is his website called Go Kabbalah Now. And that has a lot of information of Samuel's on there about his writings and his video too, etc. And Gathering of the Sparks is something, Samuel, you've been doing for how many years now?
Well, we stopped in 2018 for 13, 14 years.
And it was the deep teachings of Kabbalah, Kabbalistic teachings of the alphabet, and beautiful.
In which, by the way, I developed a whole rich material called the Journeys of the Hebrew Letters, in which all of it, like not just meditation, but also contemplative, also movements that some people still use.
And what's the name of that, if they were interested?
It's in the Invisible Stairway.
Invisible Stairway. So what I recommend everyone is the best way to contact Samuel. Plus, I don't want to forget to say this. If you're inspired in any way by Samuel, you can email him and set up longer conversations one-on-one. And so he can work with you in a private way with the deep understandings that you began to hear of today. So those are the ways to stay in touch with this dear soul in front of us named Samuel Avital. As I started today, I am still overflowing as I take Samuel's countenance into my sight and my heart, because when I was 17 and there was this man teaching me and yelling at me at certain points to wake up and see. I remember Samuel, I was doing a mime, just stepping into a bathtub in my mime story. And I was just stepping in and you went, no, do it again. And I tried it. You said, no, David, do it again. And then eventually he said, no, don't do it. Just do it. You were trying to teach me not to be the doer so much, the worker, the egoic, watch me do pantomime. And you were teaching me these principles that have been with me all my life. So I wish to also express deep gratitude to you, Samuel, and I have great love. I'm glad I could share you with so many other people. Mark had to go to one of his appointments, so otherwise he would be saying goodbye. So for all of us, I want to say thank you. So anything you wish to complete with all of us?
Risa, I want to say something.
Risa, you have a question?
Is there a way to save the chat with the links and so forth?
I don't think so. But my recommendation is if you want to read about the links of the books, they're on Amazon. That's what the link is to, Risa.
Okay.
So just put in Samuel Avital and you'll read all of his books on Amazon.
Okay.
So with that, for all of us that are here, Samuel, from my great open heart and from the invisible that I am, that you are.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a great joy to see you again. Anything you wish?
Shalom.
So I guess that's it, everyone.
Shalom.
If you want to be on his email list, you can email him. If you're interested in any of what I do, you can go to my website, which is just my name.com, for other teachings of how to live this daily life more awakened. So you're also free to do that. And my YouTube channel has some wonderful videos that you can enjoy. Other than that, Samuel Avital, blessings on your journey, and I hope to see you again.
Thank you very much to all of you. Shalom.
Thank you.
Shalom.
You can put it on gallery view if you want,
Thank
Samuel,
you.
unless
Oh,
you're.
okay. Yeah, I see it in the gallery. Thank you.
Thank
you, Samuel.
Thank you, Samuel.
Thank you, Samuel.
Beautiful,
Thank you,
thank you.
David.
תודה רבה, merci beaucoup, shukran.
Thank you, David.
Gracias.
Thank you, Samuel.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Shalom.
Thank
Bye
you.
all.
Lots of love.
Shalom.
Samuel.
Yeah,
Jeremy, shalom.
thank you
Ciao.
for reminding me something wonderful.
Hmm.
And I am, you are. Thank you for reminding me.
Shalom, Avital.
תודה רבה. Who's that? Who is it?
Carol was saying something, and Bonnie, I think, and
Thank you so much, Carol. Thank you.
yeah.
Yes, you heard me then. Thank you for being and reminding me of me and you together as one. Thank
That's
you.
right. Yes.
And although it says Rose up there, it's Prema.
Hi, Prema.
Oh, Rose, Prema, where are you?
She's in.
I'm in Paonia.
Paonia, Colorado. Wow, very
Yeah.
good. Huh? How are you? How is the film?
Well, it's coming along. I just put a link to the newest song in the chat.
Good.
But yeah, it's coming along. But I've been down for 2 months with COVID, and I'm on oxygen right now in bed and pulling through.
Well, we send you love and support, Prema. Yes. Anyone else wish to say special words to Samuel before we depart?
Yeah.
Can you help me with chronic pain?
Email him with those questions, Carol, and he'll share with you his thoughts, and you all can
Okay.
connect that way.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Anybody
Okay,
else?
Samuel.
Thank you, Prema.
We have
Thank you, Samuel. Thank you, David.
Danielle, where are you? You're in Ireland or UK?
I'm in England.
England. All right, Samuel.
Yeah.
you have-
Like Jeremy and Bodan, also from England.
Glad you're here, Danielle.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Do they speak English in England? The obvious again, the obvious.
The obvious, right? You have some hangers on, Samuel, who are resting probably in the quiet, in the stillness of the heart.
I think that's a spiritual absorption of what we explore together.
I do too. I do too. You know,
Kate Burke.
she's in Australia.
What?
She's in Australia.
Kate in Australia? Wow.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's very nice to be here.
Thank you. How is Australia? Is okay?
It's summertime right now.
And Italy, how is Italy? Hi.
Nilda, do you want to speak on Italy?
Does she speak English, Nilda?
Oh, un peu.
Poco.
Poco. Do you want to say anything in Italian? You want to say thank you, Samuel, in Italian?
Gracias.
You are still muted, though, Nilda.
No.
There you go.
Ciao, ciao, grazie a tutti. Grazie David, grazie Samuel, grazie a tutti. Sono molto felice di avervi ascoltato. I don't speak English very much.
Oh, mamma mia.
Oh, mamma mia. What a problem. I'd like to talk in Hebrew, in Kabbalah language as well, but
You can write to me.
yes, I would.
You have an email. Yes. Thank you.
Yes. We have heard each other.
Yeah, we chatted a little the other day. Yes.
Yes, I remember, and I'm so grateful for that. I will do it. I will do it. Lo farò. Scusatemi, my English is really bad.
That's all right. Grazie a tutti, Nilda.
Grazie David. Grazie a
Thank-
tutti, buonasera.
Buonasera.
Buonasera. Oh, it's evening there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's evening. Yeah, probably 7 or 8 hours maybe. You're welcome. Bye-bye. Thank you. So we have continents represented, Samuel.
Yeah, people from quite some other places, in Hungary and
Australia.
And David for inviting me. I enjoyed it very much. And please stay in touch.
Wonderful. So everyone stay in touch by email with Samuel if you'd like.
Andy,
So-
thank you for your assistance.
Pleasure.
All
Thank
right,
you.
everyone. I'm going to say goodbye for now.